Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Stock. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Today, I'm going to talk about 3 companies. I've talked about them in separate videos. I'm going to talk about them together with some updates on them and what I see going on with those, and also what the heck is going on in the stock market. By now, you probably have already seen, especially if you're somebody like me who likes to watch the stock market throughout the day, see how healthy it is when, according to futures, how healthy it is when the market opens, and just, generally how, what the heck is just going on throughout the day. If I see it's going well, I tend to move on to some other work, and then, about 1 o'clock today, seeing that change, they start to wonder, what happened that caused such a big change. So we figured that out, and Biden made an announcement, and it wasn't received too well. We all want to move on to the actual stocks and the actual information, so let's get ready to rock. Alright, welcome back. For those of you who are interested, down in the description is a link to my Patreon. Over there you get access to my portfolios, to my weekly newsletter, my weekly watch list of stocks. I'm currently working on a Patreon exclusive content where I up the offers that I have, exclusive videos, and then I also have some other plans in the work that I haven't shared with them yet. They get to hear about it first. So I'm excited about that, and really I think that I'm on to some offerings that'll be good. And even if you don't want to join now, as I update them and as they start to receive the other services that I have to provide, then I'll come back to YouTube and start telling you guys about how it's going, what they think about it, and I'll just sort of keep on adjusting to make sure that I'm offering the best services possible to anybody who joins me. So that link is down in the description if you just want to take a peek and see what it is, and just check it out a little bit. Also, down in the description is a link to Weebull. By signing up and depositing $100, you get 2 free stocks. I get 2 free stocks for the referral. So thank you very much. I appreciate any support that you guys show. If you haven't subscribed and you'd like to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, notification bell, the like button, and share it with your friends. Don't be afraid to leave some comments with, what do you think about the stocks that I talk about? Are there any other stocks that you guys are tracking that you like? What else do you see on the charts when I show them? Really anything. Go ahead and talk about it. As often as I can, I get back into the comments and I talk with you guys, and I really like how that's turning out. The one thing that's negative about the comments are the darn scammers. So please, if you're somebody who is new to YouTube, that you haven't been watching these videos too long or anything like that, if you see people posting and it has the YouTuber's name, so for me, my channel's name is Dr. Stock, and when you look for Dr. Stock in the comments, and they'll copy my name, they'll copy my picture, and as soon as I change my picture, they'll just change it to a new picture too. They're very quick about those things. So just look for there be a highlighted bubble around my name if it's actually me. I will never tell you to call me. I will never tell you to invest with me. This information is just to bring stuff to your attention for finance and investing, and maybe you'll find some insight in it, and maybe it will point you in a direction where you can do a little bit more of your own research and whatever, and really, maybe help you find ways that you would like to invest on our way towards financial freedom. So that's what these videos are about. In the comments, I'll say kind things, I'll say friendly things, and if you ask about stocks, I can't do too much of the comments. There's just too big of a world there. But I will say, I'll say a little bit about the specific stock. But it'll never be contact me or, invest with this advisor. So if you see that stuff, I promise it's not me. And if you watch other YouTubers, I promise if the same thing is happening to them, it's not them either. So just be careful with that kind of stuff. Alright, let's move on to the actual stocks. I'm sorry for going on so long. I just care about you guys. I don't want to see anybody get scammed. And the scammers in the comments on YouTube they're rampant, and I hope that Google steps up their game in order to address that sooner than later. Alright, so the first thing, before we look at the charts or anything like that, this is what you want to know about 1 o'clock today or so. We got information about Biden speaking on taxes and talking about a capital gains tax of 39.6% for Americans earning more than $1 million. And, well, that's huge, because capital gains, that's the money that you would make in the market. And for people who earn more than $1 million, I'm sure that a lot of them are invested in the stock market. With that big money in the market, getting scared that they're going to have their money taken from them, 40% of their earnings taken from them by the federal government versus the 20% that they're paying now, that's a huge difference. That's pretty much doubling the amount that's taken by the federal government. And the problem, taking too much, taking over your share. I think that's, to me, it's greedy. But what I think is even bigger, the bigger issue is the discrimination that goes along with it. And I know that you might think, well, they earn a lot of money, they deserve to be taxed more, and that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is treating people in general equitably. I have trouble with these words sometimes, but that equitable treatment of individuals, that everybody is seeing that they're being treated with kindness and respect and in the same regard for one another. Those are the things that we're really looking for. And when we do these things to make, I'm going to call them financial class differences, that's going to be really impactful. And one thing it does here is it whacks the bee's nest and things start buzzing, the market goes crazy, and it's not good for any of us. But then furthermore, just think of any other time where discrimination has happened, where you treat either somebody less than human, it doesn't go well. Or that here that we treat people as, being, honestly, when you look at taxes, you could look at them as being penalized. So what you're saying is, hey, this group of people, regardless of who it is, they're going to get penalized more. To me, we need to find some sort of happy medium where we actually feel like we're being treated equitably, and I don't know that this is that right course. Anyway, I'm going to move on with my beliefs, but this is what happened. Like I said, it was about around 1 p.m., and when I show you the stocks today, you'll certainly see that happening, and it's important to know with those prices as you look at them and their performance throughout the day, all three of them started out really strong because the whole market started out really strong, but then they sort of sputtered as time went on. All right, so the first stock that I have for you here is Skillz. I'm actually going to do them in reverse order from when I mentioned them. I wanted to talk about them this way. So Skillz had just a heck of a sell-off, just beyond what some of the other companies did, and there's a lot of reasons for that. One, it has some of the SPAC shame going along with it. Another one, I think it has 2 different short sellers reports that came out against it. And then finally, we also found out that I think it was back on you can check the date for me. I think it was the end of March, maybe March 28th. As a matter of fact, if we look here for where things sort of fell apart, it could have even been on March the 24th. Actually, I think that's the day that it happened, that there was news of insider trading, that Andrew Paradise, the CEO, sold something like 8 million shares, and I think that it was quite a big percentage, well, we'll call it a reasonable percentage of the shares of his stake in the company. And then there were 4 other individuals that also sold off large portions of their share. I think the top one was either like 28 or 38% or something. And when you have insider selling like that, it can be a sign that faith is being lost in the company. And you can see this purple line that we have going through here, this curve. We were actually moving upward. We were still looking sort of bullish from this high time that we had back here when before it went public, and then we had sell-off, and it just kept continuing, and then finally we broke the 200, this is the MA 200. So it broke that, and then so that would show us that we're entering sort of a bearish period, and we want to see it return, and right now it's hitting that resistance perfectly. So if you guys look at that, I know that moving averages are lagging indicators, but I don't think that there's a lot of coincidence that this candle comes up and just touches the EMA 200 here, and then we had fallen back down from there. So that's something, when you're looking at this, just one way to look at. The day before, we had ARK Invest. Actually, let me talk real quick just about that insider selling. When you have insider selling, it's not great for the company because it can be a sign that even the people who are on the inside of the company, who have the intimate knowledge of the company, don't have faith in their own company. There's other reasons that could happen. They could just be looking for taking some of their profits from some of the compensation that they've been paid through stocks in the company and through options within the company. And taking that compensation, it's not always a bad thing. But it got taken at a time when the market was already dropping, things were already selling off. So maybe they figured that this could possibly keep going. So maybe it was a good time to take that before they would get less per share than what they were already getting. So that happened. We had insider trading, and then finally yesterday we had a very green market yesterday, and then ARK Invest comes out with 5 million shares purchased yesterday. They already had a position in Skillz, in a relatively sizable one, kind of small within their ETF, but 5 million shares added, and they hadn't been adding in this dip. I think that they actually stopped around the time, and I'd have to go back and look at their purchase history, but I think around the time that there was insider selling, I think Cathie Wood and the people over at ARK Invest were like, I think that we'll hold back and we'll wait on this. And whatever they were holding back for, whatever the difference was, they decided yesterday that that should happen, and there was over almost 91 million shares sold with Skillz here. So they're at least voting that they have a little bit more confidence, or at that price point they thought that it was going to bounce back for it. So that was something that we had. I expect to see some more buying from ARK Invest whenever they put out their results. By the time I get this video posted to YouTube, they may already be out and you'll be able to check. So we do want to break this purple EMA 200 that we have here. Breaking that resistance is going to be huge, because when we're at it, when we're underneath it, it's resistance, and when we're above it, it's support. And we want to break through there. We want to go back to the high side of the EMA 200, because that's really going to help us out. Something to keep an eye on if we fail to break that resistance is that we have the 50-period simple moving average right here, and we don't want that to keep coming down. We don't want it to cross over, because when we have it bearish like that and it crosses, that can be considered a death cross. So we don't want to fail to break resistance and have that cross happen, because then we can have a bigger sell-off. If you're really confident about Skillz and you really like the forward outlook of them, then that could be a good sign that it sells off because of the technicals, and then the fundamentals come through and save it. And maybe that was ARK Invest's intent. I can't speak for them when they bought their 5 million shares, but this is the first time in a while that I believe anyway that they had bought the dip on Skillz. Let me move on. In my dividend video, I believe it was, I talked about AT&T, and AT&T had been fairly good at holding that that bottom right around $28 or so, maybe up to 29 sometimes. Let me see here. Recently it tapped about 30. If we go back far enough, actually let me just go to the weekly chart. That'll be more helpful here. There we are. So when we look at the weekly chart, you get to see just a little bit more of what went on. Back here, this is around just before the pandemic hit, and you can see the highs that we've had throughout the pandemic. So back here in June, and then we had a lower high back here, and then we shortly thereafter we had a little bit of a sell-off. So this next high that we had is still a lower high, and this low that we had here was almost a lower low than what we had on March the 27th. So we were almost there, not quite there, but you can see even at its biggest sell-off, it only went down to $26. So for AT&T, that was great. You can see pre-pandemic that it went up to almost $40 per share. So we could be at a time when it's starting to get back up there. Now let me show you, since we're at the weekly chart where we can see a little bit better. If I put a horizontal line right here, you can see that the last two highs that we've had, right around 31.90, according to my chart that's here, they're even at the moment. We want to see, as time goes on, we want to see this high get broken. The sooner the better that we would see that as confirmation that AT&T stock price is on the way back up. It would be great to see it go back up to 40. They had a great earnings report recently. Let me share that with you, and then we'll come back to the chart. All right, so this is on Seeking Alpha, and you can come here and you can find this if you go to Yahoo. They have all sorts of breakdowns on there for Yahoo Finance as well, so you don't even need the subscription there or anything like that. So when you look at this, they break down these numbers. They talk about the beat on expectations, and you can see right here Citi's Michael Rollins praised the results, and you can see that he has a price of $34 price target. So from where we're at now, that wouldn't quite be 10%. That would be about 6 to 7% or so from its closing price today. So let's go back to the chart. I'm sorry, one more thing, the dividend. AT&T is one of my dividend stocks, and you check it out, their forward dividend yield that they have here, and their dividend payout, and also if you take a look at their ratings that they have, dividend safety of B, and dividend growth, not really the best, but it's got a great dividend yield, and it's it has the top ratings here for dividend consistency. So AT&T has a relatively safe dividend play besides the low beta and the stability that it has in its share price for its stock, and then also the consistency with which it pays dividends, and just make it kind of a safer place to put your money where you can still experience growth and you can still have those dividends paid back to you. And this is a company not only has that stability, but also has really started moving forward into growth. Let me show you the chart today. So let me go back to that. All right, so on the chart today, I'm going to leave the weekly and I'm going to go to the daily. And on the daily chart, we have that gap up. But even before then, if you take a look at their chart recently. I mean, you can just see this huge bull run that we had here, and then sort of almost like a flag or a pennant movement, and then it did break a little bit higher, and then April 8th hit, and we had, you know, a little bit of a tumultuous time there. But look at the purple EMA 200, and then we have this faster moving, simple moving average 50 coming up on it, almost crossing each other, and that would be a bullish sign for us, especially on this big volume that we have here today. We want to see that volume continue. We want to see these two things cross, because that can tell us that we're heading into a bullish period. Now, about this green candle that we have here, this one would have been a little higher, the body of the candle, around 31.50 or so, and that would just be about middle of the day, not to close. And again, this is the daily chart that we're looking here. But then we got drugged down by the Biden announcement with the capital gains tax talk. So looking at the 30-minute chart, we have this nice little run-up pre-market, anticipating the earnings, seeing those earnings. We had this nice little pop at open, and then we have this little triangle here where the bulls and the bears are sort of battling each other. The bulls are driving the stock price up, the bears are driving the stock price down. It's sort of narrowing, and then we get here, possibly towards a breakout. This candle closed at 1 p.m., which is near the Biden announcement, and then after 1, this goes until 1:30. This one closed at 2 o'clock, and it just, anything that was forming up, that was shaping up, any battle that was being fought between the bulls and the bears, this one, I believe, had a strong chance of breaking out to the upside up until that announcement was made. Then an outside force came in, and the bulls caved, the bears came in, and then just stopped whatever sort of run was taking place. So AT&T, I think it's got a lot of potential to it. I like it as a dividend play, and you know, it even has a decent amount of growth there, and we're also moving forward as a company. So just something to consider. Take a look at it, see what you think. All right, here's the daily chart for Coinbase, and it's actually starting to form up into something. So we've had sort of a rough time with Coinbase, you know, trying to find its place. Getting delisted from 2 different exchanges because of some sort of error, and they're working on correcting that. They should be back on those exchanges hopefully sometime soon. I didn't read too much into it because to me it seemed like a rather minor thing, something that it wasn't really fraudulent. It was an error. They just need to fix it, and I think that that's something that will correct over time. And Coin is a company that I bought for the long term. As a matter of fact, that's my news today. I was talking in my Discord. I was like, you know, with this dip from the Biden announcement, maybe I'll find a place that, you know, I can pick something up off the bounce. Somebody said coin, and, you know, I was like, well, I'd take a peek at it. If it's under 300, I'll certainly take a position. So today I took a position right around 295. So I didn't catch it at the bottom, at least, you know, for the day. It came down to, it looks like 287.20. Let's take a look in the after hours. So we're down around 285, not too much worse off. I do see very bullish behavior for this in the future. So for this one, it's one that I'm keeping an eye on. Taking the position today was nice. It's one that I was waiting to get into, but I didn't want to pay over $300 for it. I'm glad I waited. And, you know, we still haven't found bottom with this, so it's not one that I want to take a large position in, but I will dollar cost average down with it as it goes on. So I'm keeping my eyes here. I do like this company, and just, you know, you can let me know what you think of it down in the comments, and, you know, it'd be great to talk to you about it. So let me summarize. Skillz is a company that I like. As a matter of fact, it was one of my favorites. The big sell-off happened, and I was like, oh, I'm okay with it, you know, because everything was selling off. It went right along with it, and I was dollar cost averaging down a little bit at a time because there was a big sell-off, so I was doing that across a whole bunch of stocks. So Skillz just being one of them, I just kept nibbling pieces at it, and then the insider selling happened, and then I paused because I didn't, you know, you have the short seller reports come out, and they're not everything. And typically, they can be done by people who already have short positions. So enter the short position, put out the short report, watch the price plummet, and there you go. They got some cash. So I read them because sometimes they do make valid arguments. Sometimes they do bring in those considerations. You don't want to only read the bull cases and leave it at that. So I read them, and they weren't enough to fully convince me. I was like, I'll hold my position for now. We'll see what goes on. Then there's the insider selling, and it's rocky for confidence when that happens because you don't know their intention or the reason for selling. You can only speculate as to why those shares were sold from the inside. Is it loss of faith in their company? Is it really slowing down like the short sellers were saying? Because if that stuff was true, that confidence goes out, and then the price really plummets. And if they go belly up, well, then you're out of cash. And so even though I only have just a small percentage of my funds in Skillz, it's still something that I didn't really want to give up. So I didn't buy any more. I held, and then we see yesterday ARK Invest come in, bring some strength back to the stock price, and then today, not too bad of a day. Hopefully we keep moving back up towards that 200 EMA. Hopefully we break it so that it turns into a line of support rather than a line of resistance. So keep an eye on that. If it's one that you're interested in, I really do like that play. Roblox is a nice alternative play, and it's already a profitable company. So you look around, read around, see what you think. Moving on from that, AT&T, also one that I already owned, and then today, just great news for it. If we do need that golden cross and we end up ending up more bullish on AT&T, and that price goes up and it starts to recover some of that ground that it lost from the pandemic and onward, well, great. So I would love to see the strength continue to go with AT&T. Finally, Coinbase, with analyst estimates right around $400 and even upward from there. Over the long term, even if we don't hit that in 12 months, I'm okay waiting for that to happen in 24 or 36 months. For me, these would be long-term holds, and let's say that I bought at $300 and it goes up 100. That's a 33% appreciation in a year's time. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that you guys found some enlightenment in the video. Let me know what you think of these videos down in the comments. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed and you would like to, please do so. Hit the like button, help out the algorithm. It helps to improve the search results for this channel, and I'll take all the help that I can get. Thank you guys for any support that you show. Remember the link for Patreon, Weebull, they're both down in the description. These videos are for entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research and due diligence. Contact a financial advisor before making any financial decisions. I'm Dr. Stock. Thanks for rocking with me. Now go get that money.